Teacher is waiting for students. हॅलो. अरे काय चेंज केलं की नाही ना टाइम टेबल मध्ये काय? मुलं जॉईन होईनात एक सुद्धा. मी आता 11:25 पासून झालं. त्याला मेसेज टाकलाय. मेसेज पण टाकलाय तर वाटच बघतोय आता. 11:50 झाले आता. हम्म. ते पण नाही झालं कोणीच, तर एक पण नाही. सांग. हो हो. हॅलो निकिता.
येस सर.
अरे काय कुठे काय किती वेळ कुठे गेलीस?
सर जरा
आणि बाकी
त्याच्यामुळे
हा.
आता ऑनलाईन होतो, पण एक 10 मिनिटापूर्वी लिंक वगैरे नाही आली, त्याच्यामुळे मग ऑफलाईन गेलेलो.
मी 11:25 पासून जॉईन झालोय.
सॉरी सर.
बाकीचे कुठे आहेत?
मी टाकते
मी
बाकी.
ग्रुपवर मेसेज पण टाकलाय. मेसेज टाकलाय तुला, मेसेज टाकलाय ग्रुपवर, मेसेज टाकलाय.
हा सर, पण अजून ते नाईट जॉईन झाले.
मग काय आता?
करूया आपण स्टार्ट. मी टाकते त्यांना मेसेज.
हा टाक. हा कोणतरी जॉईन.
हा.
ती झुलॉजीची दिसते. ठीक आहे आपण सुरू करूया. मेसेज टाकून ठेव.
हो सर.
हं. ओके. कॅन यू सी द स्क्रीन? हॅलो.
येस सर.
Okay. Now actually we are beginning with the semester 6. And in semester 6 you are having two papers, paper number 7 and paper number 8, which will be dealing with the subject fisheries. And two common papers will be there. One is immunology and another one is applied zoology second. These two papers will be taught to you during your common lecture. As far as this paper number 7 is concerned, the title of this paper is Marine Ecology and Fisheries. This is the paper both myself and Professor Katte madam. We are going to share this paper. The topic that I am going to deal with, or I will be beginning with this, is marine habitat. Belongs to unit number 1, marine habitat. And these are the different points. Introduction, and today mainly we are going to concentrate on the physical parameters of the marine habitat. You might have come across these physical factors, maybe or may not be during the study of the different types of habitat somewhere in your uh, BSc 2 classes as per your subject environmental biology is concerned or environment is concerned. Have you come across these different types of habitats during your BSc 2? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you people, as per as the subject environment is concerned, and as it has been included in your syllabus, we have to go through it and we'll be dealing with this topic. Marine habitat. Now, it supports marine life, depends on the saltwater that is in the sea. All marine life depends in some way on the salt water that is in the sea. The term marine comes from the Latin word that is mare, meaning sea or oceans. Habitat is an ecological or environmental area inhabited by one or more living species. And marine environment supports many kinds of these habitats. And see, different types of classification is there, and according to different layers, stratas present in this marine habitat, the life differs as far as the surface is concerned, as far as the column part of the water body is concerned, and as far as the depth or the bottom of the marine habitat is concerned. So the study of marine organism in relation to their environment, that is physical, chemical, geological, and biological aspect of sea, is called as oceanography. So we are going to study this habitat, keeping in the view the physical factors, chemical factors are the main two parts which has been included in your syllabus. As far as the geological means how the appearance is there, what is the form of land below the water, and how the different type of fauna is present accordingly, that we are going to study under this topic. So first of all, let's begin with the physical parameters, and today only we are going to deal with the physical parameters. Now first one is the size. Sea is a, as you know all, it is the largest water body covering about 70% of the Earth's surface, and it covers about the area of uh, 36 billions and 20 lakh square kilometers. So such a huge water body is there on this globe, and its continuity, as far as its continuity is concerned, unlike land, just a minute, yes. And water sea is continuous, all oceans are interconnected with each other because of the mountains that's because of the presence of different creeks, oceans and seas, it is continuous on all oceans. Say different. Yes, if you observe it, let's enlarge this. If you observe this, you will find all the oceans. Maybe Indian Ocean, maybe Pacific Ocean, North Atlantic, South Atlantic, North Pacific, South Pacific, all Southern Ocean, Arctic Ocean, all these are interconnected. You will find there is in connection between all these uh, different oceans which are present in the on the globe. So continuity is one of the important uh, physical parameter of the marine habitat is concerned. Now, as far as the depth, marine habitats has great depths. Now, this depends on the geological structure of some of the areas. You will find the oceans are shallow, seas are shallow, and you will find the in some areas in the, some part of the globes you will find the uh, deepest part is there and which are in the form of deep trenches. But on average, the depth of the marine habitat is it is about 400 meters. Now, this another physical factor that is light. This is very much important part as of the syllabus as far as your examinations are concerned. Now, light acts as you know, light or solar radiations is the only source of the uh, energy which is coming from the sun and which supports the organisms, life of the organisms on the earth. So, light acts as an important factor in the life of the marine organisms. In fact, all the organisms which are present on the earth, they are influenced by the solar radiations. It is a significant abiotic factor in regulating the patterns of distribution of marine animals. So, penetration of light plays an important role as far as the distribution of marine animals or organisms are concerned. The sunlight is directly concerned with food production because the phytoplanktons or the autotrophs which are present, they play an important role by trapping this sunlight and by undergoing the process of photosynthesis. So about 85% of primary production of the earth take place in the sea. The phytoplanktons of the sea produce carbohydrates. Of course, the ultimate product of the photosynthesis is the carbohydrates and the oxygen is released. Carbohydrates by the process of photosynthesis. The penetration of light is affected by the angle of the light ray. That means only the perpendicular sun ray reach the deeper while the slanting rays are reflected. So this is the phenomenon which is affecting the penetration of light. Only perpendicular rays can reach up to the deeper layer in the oceans or seas. So depending on the penetration of light, the oceans are divisible. Yeah, or they are generally classified into three zones as we often study it. The three different zones in the freshwater habitat also or in the pond ecosystem also. And these are euphotic zone, dysphotic zone, and the apophotic zone. Now this euphotic zone it extends from the surface up to the 200 meters up to the depth of the 200 meters. It is also called as illuminated zone or the producing zone. Why it is called as producing zone? Because the penetration of light is there, and the phytoplanktons which are present in this strata, in this layer, in this zone, they are very much very active and they play a role in the process of photosynthesis. So this zone is very much rich in phytoplanktons and the primary and secondary consumers. So when I say primary consumers are also called as what they are called as?
Producers,
Pri- yes,
the consumers,
primary consumers they
which
are
feed
also called as
us. Uh,
yes,
Herbivores.
yes, herbivores. Primary consumers are always herbivores. Okay, and the second, so this is the zone which is dominated by uh, autotrophs, which are in the form of phytoplanktons, primary consumers, which are herbivores, secondary consumers, which are the primary carnivores. In this way. Okay, so if you observe in the diagrammatic view to visualize the euphotic zone, so this is the sectional view of the diagrammatic view showing the euphotic zone. So from the surface up to the 200 meters depth, this is the part, this is the layer or strata of the ocean which is illuminated and which is dominated by autotrophs which are in the form of phytoplanktons and primary and secondary consumers. So second layer is the dysphotic zone, or which is also called as twilight zone, which extends from from the depth about 200 meters to 1000 meters, and it is weakly lighted. Means there is moderate, very less amount of light is penetrating in this entire uh, zone, which is the dysphotic zone. The animals here are mostly secondary consumers, of course, because but a few primary consumers, plant life is very rare. So whatever plant life is there, that will be very close to the depth of the 200 meters and about 200 to 250 meters depth. Only in that part of the water body you will find some plant life will be there. Otherwise, this is the area which is mostly it is dominated by the secondary consumers. And the next zone, that is a floating zone, which extends below the depth of 1000 meters, where light is completely absent. So if you observe this, and this is the this floating zone from extending from 200 meters to 1000 meters, and below this depth from 1000 onwards, say for example up to 6000 meters, and still this is it is in the form of a trench which is devoid of light, or light is totally absent in this zone. So animals, producers are totally absent. So in the dysphotic zone, you'll find some very less amount of autotrophs plants which are present on the surface. Not you can't say surface, but the at the outer limit of this zone towards the surface, but majority it is dominated by the secondary carnivores. But here in the aphotic zone, the animal in these are secondary consumers and also feed on other animals. So only heterotrophs is dominated, and these are the heterotrophs. You can feel that they can come to the surface, they can migrate to the surface, and again they can move up to the depth. So this is the type of behavior shown by these animals or the secondary consumers present, or they inhabiting in this aquatic zone. So light is an important physical factor. Temperature, of course. The temperature of the ocean ranges from 2 degrees in the polar seas to 32 degrees in the tropics, the tropical areas. The annual variation in temperature in any part of the sea is usually not more than 6 degree centigrade. The range of temperature of oceans is far less than that of the land. So seasonal and daily temperature changes are much more in coastal waters than in the open sea. So of course, because the coastal waters they are often subjected to the uh, high tides, low tides, impact of land is also there, and the uh, union of the rivers is also there in the coastal area. The surface of the coastal water is coolest at dawn, party, and they are warmest at the night or at the dusk. There is always a direct stratification in sea. The stratification based on the temperature difference. The temperature of the bottom layer of water in a deep sea, अतः which part of the ocean is called as deep sea, which part is called as open sea, narrative zone, that we are going to study in details while studying the uh, classification of the marine habitat. So it is about minus 1 degree centigrade. The density of seawater increases with decrease in temperature. So this density of seawater increases with a decrease in temperature. And similarly, the solubility of oxygen also increases with lowering of temperature. Means the amount of dissolved oxygen as the temperature increases, the level of dissolved oxygen goes on decreasing in this sense. So the animals which are able to tolerate wide range of temperature, they are termed as eurythermal, and these are the cardium and arenicola. These are the animals which are which can tolerate the wide range of changes in the temperature. While the animals which are able to tolerate a narrow range of the temperature, they are called as sternothermal, and these are salpa, coral reefs, arthropods, and so on. So temperature is the physical factor. Now pressure in the sense the it increases sorry it increases with the increase in the depth naturally as you go uh, below the water body at a different depth, the pressure goes on increasing. Likewise, as on the land surface, as we go higher and higher, as we climb the higher altitudes, the atmospheric pressure goes on decreasing. So, exactly reverse is the condition with the oceans. The pressure in the ocean varies from 1 atmosphere, but 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 mm of Hg. At the surface, hello, hello,
Yes, sir.
हा आवाज येत होता मध्येच. ठीक आहे
सर
ठीक आहे.
परिणाम जॉईन झालेत
हा
त्यामुळे.
होऊ देत की नो प्रॉब्लेम असू
हा
देत.
स्पीकर म्यूट
त्यांचं
होता.
12:20 ला. हा हा ठीक आहे.
हा.
त्यांचं लेक्चर आहे कॉमनचं माझ्या नंतर.
हो सर.
हा हा Okay. Uh, Let us continue. The pressure changes are many times greater in the sea than the terrestrial environment and affect the distribution of organisms to live near the surface. In the surface, when the pressure is less, where other organisms prefer to live at the greater depths. Now, this some of the organisms that are living at the different depths, they have to modified, or they you will find they are morphologically adapted for the comfortable life at the different depth. Say for example, if you observe the rays and skates, electric ray, torpedo, or the stingrays, you will find their body is dorsoventrally flattened. And this adaptation is merely to bear the pressure of the water column above them. But the animals such as whales, sperm whale, and sea can live at the depth, but they are also having capacity to return to the surface without difficulty. If you observe this sperm whale, to inhale the air, it comes to the surface. After inhaling the air, it goes back to the bottom. So it can travel such a different strata of the ocean, comes to the surface, and again it can go to the bottom and settle, or they can live the comfortable life at the different depth. So the animals that can tolerate great vertical range pressure in the sea are referred as urobathy. The word bathy is concerned with the pressure. For example, pelecypods. These are the group of organisms where they can able to tolerate the great vertical range or the pressure, while the animals which tolerate narrow range of the depth are called stenobathy. The example is the chimera. Chimera is the species of fish. Now waves. Waves, these are also the physical factors. One of the physical factors. Waves are produced by wind. Okay. The form and the magnitude of wave depends on the open water, direction of the wind, duration of the wind, and of the shore, weight of the wind, and nature of water, whether the is shallow or deep. So all these are the different factors which affects the magnitude of the wave. If the wind is flowing over the large area of water, the height and the velocity and length of the wave action will be more. Means on the in the open sea zone, you will find if the wind is flowing over the large area of water, that means if you observe the horizontal stratification of the ocean, the area is the which is divided into two main parts, that is neritic zone and the open sea zone. And in this open sea zone, the height, velocity, and length of the wave action is more. Seawater is never static, as you know that. So waves by wind, by cosmic forces, and varying water density. So how much water density water is also affecting the nature of a wave, that is mentioned in the. Then next is the currents, water currents. Seawater is continuous circulation. Water currents, different types of water currents there, and these water currents are flowing from different uh, areas, you can see, and their mixing of the water is brought about. But the difference air temperatures between polar region and the equator. Polar regions are always cool, and the equatorial region is always hot. So because of the difference in the air temperature, which is responsible for the generating of the strong winds, which creates definite currents in the ocean. So winds are responsible for creating the water currents. Due to these currents, cool dense water from the polar region, as we have mentioned earlier in the very second point, that all the oceans are continuous. All the oceans are continuous. There is a link between the different oceans. So the cooler dense water from the polar region moves towards the equator, and it gradually becomes warmer at equator. So such type of water takes place. Again, from the equator, warm again moves towards the pole and becomes cooler and dense. So such type of currents are found moving as per as the pole and equator, which is North Pole and South Pole, and the equatorial region is concerned. So on this basis, you'll find there are two types of currents are there. Equatorial, as far as the name is concerned, equatorial currents. These currents circulates. Now, how they move? They move from east to west in direction. While the coastal currents are there, these are the currents. They circulate from north to south uh, direction. Currents are caused by three main factors: because of the temperature difference, tides, and the winds. And accordingly, currents are again named as thermohaline or density currents. Now, they are produced by heating action of sun on the ocean. As the warm water ra- rises up and the spreads on the surface, the cold water sinks down from the colder region and spreads downward. So such type of circulation is occurring as per as this thermohaline or density currents are there. Then the tidal currents, they are produced by of they are produced by the gravitational pull of sun and moon on the oceanic water. How these are going to affect, that we are going to study while studying the tides. And wind currents, these are they are produced by the effect of wind blowing on marine waters in the slanting manner. These currents affects only the water surface. So only the surface water is affected because of this wind currents, as because winds are blowing. And डिस्टर्बन्स येतोय. हा दा 12 21 झाले. ठीक आहे. As time is up, and Professor